And now.
All right, hello and welcome everybody to the 2025 U18 Women's Championship. Today's game between Indigenous and Quebec. Myself, Cole Fortner, alongside me, Brendan Donald. Brendan, how you doing?
I'm doing good. This should be a fun little tournament. Having two teams kicking us off here today, it should be a really good battle between both squads. Again, Team Indigenous coming in with a little bit of a lighter squad, but ultimately just really grateful to be here. Again, had to go through a lot of hoops and hurdles to ultimately just get to this tournament. And then talking about Team Quebec, they had some adversity just trying to get here to Calgary. Again, some of the light shows that often happened here throughout these last few days made it a little bit tricky for them to ultimately get here. So talking with the coaching staff, they said they're just really happy they were able to touch down, get here, and face a little bit of adversity without even touching the field so far.
Yeah, there was one heck of a storm here the other night in Calgary where right when Quebec was trying to get in and land, and I think they were delayed for like an hour or something.
They ended up circling the runway, I was told, 5 times.
Yeah, I'm not surprised with how massive that thunderstorm was. Regardless, we'd like to take this time to thank all of our family members and friends and future players across Canada for making it out to the tournament. And for those of you who are watching on our YouTube feed back home, lots to look forward to here in the first game of this 2025 tournament. Because we have welcomed both of these teams to the fields. And in the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge that we are playing on the original territories of the people of the Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta, which includes the Blackfoot First Nation tribes of Siksika, Piikani, and the Kainai, the Stoney and Dakota First Nation tribes of Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Goodstoney, along with the Tsuut'ina First Nations and the Métis Nations of Alberta Region 3. And we're going to do our national anthem.
Start singing.
So we're going to call upon the captains and do our coin toss. And while that's going on, our referee for today's game, Bailey Greb-Mueller, our umpire, Kathy Williams, our down judge is Shauna Volma, our line judge is Emma Sharp, and our field judge is Laura McKenzie. And then our support crew today for our game is Shane Moore, Christy Gannett, Justin Marabito, and Cordell Murphy.
The Referees Association provides continuous service to all levels of football, from flag football to the Calgary Stampeders.
Taking a look at both of our teams. Team Quebec in the baby blue, while Team Indigenous is in the red and black. This should be a fun way to kick off the 2025 Nationals. As we get set, get the coin toss ready to go before we get everything kicked off and started here in this one today. We'd like to thank you all for joining us here in Calgary on this slightly rainy, hopefully not too rainy day in Calgary, Alberta.
And it's holding off so far compared to what we've seen the last few days. So these teams have been having to practice in almost deluge at times.
A lot of almost monsoon type conditions, and just trying to ultimately get everything settled down and sorted. Might be having a little bit of feedback coming there, but nonetheless able to get things going as coin toss.
It throws you off a little bit, doesn't it?
It does a little bit, yeah. Get to hear your own voice only 3 seconds afterwards, everything, so.
Yeah, it's the first day. Time to get all the judges out. First game of the tournament.
And coin toss is done, get everything situated and sorted, and then we will officially be in action. And both teams really looking forward to getting out here and kicking things off for this particular competition, as Team Quebec, talking with their coaching staff before, they're saying it's been at least 2 weeks since the girls have been able to just hit each other. And as head coach often told me, girls are a little bit hangry to go out there and lay a licking on someone.
Well, and of course we have like the Southern Alberta Football League here now in Calgary and stuff. So we've been able to grow football at the community roots level over the last couple of years and stuff. So we really see how they're developing and how the game is actually growing and stuff through that, which is also nice. And yeah, there is definitely a difference in play level between the two teams, or like between men and women's football.
Well, it looks like Team Indigenous is going to be receiving the ball first here on the kickoff.
Quebec wearing those baby blue jerseys, defending the north side, or our broadcast left. Indigenous wearing the red jerseys, defending the south end zone, or our broadcast right. And there goes the initial kickoff to start off our ball game. Back to return number 22, Justice Behrens. She takes that one up the far side and brought down about the 38-yard line. Not a bad return for our opening kickoff.
Not a bad one indeed, but taking a look at our starting quarterback for Team Indigenous, that is Sienna DeChambeau. Again, a lot of adversity for this young woman, as she ultimately played the final game for the Nationals last year, ended up tearing her ACL, and is able to officially make her first debut here today ever since that unfortunate injury. So a lot of excitement for that young lady.
6-on-6 action, of course, as the ball is snapped and handed off to the running back. She runs that one forward, wearing that bright orange helmet. Oh, that's number 2, Helena McKay on the carry on that one. Gets a couple of yards on the first handoff.
Again, always trying to find that little bit of edge to start the game, trying to feel the way out. Again, this is a very balanced offense from what the coaching staff was ultimately saying prior to this one, and they want to really allow everyone to just kind of go.
Toss play on the second play of the game does draw some penalty flags. I believe there was some movement on the line.
Good job by Aller to get into the backfield on that particular play and just wrap everyone up and just kind of slow everything down. But again, like what you're saying, Cole, we do have some laundry down on the field, so maybe a little bit of pre-snap movement that ultimately slows things down. But right now, Team Indigenous just trying to find a way to get a few more yards on this one.
All right, for the penalty call, we'd like to thank our first sponsor, Tourism Calgary, for all their support in this year's tournament, including a special surprise that will be following the championship game. And Brennan, if you know anything about Calgary, I'm sure you can figure out what that is right away.
Yes, indeed. But again, just taking a look at this one.
So offside called against the defense. We'll move up 5 yards and redo second down, so I believe it's going to make it 2nd and 3. Maybe 2nd and 2. It's close.
Appears to be some late shifts there on the actual play, maybe a little bit of confusion.
I believe we have a timeout call there from Team Indigenous. A little bit of confusion on who was on the field at the time. So our first early timeout.
It's never advantageous to always try to use a timeout, particularly early in the game, because you want to save those. But again, this is the first half, so you don't necessarily have to sweat too much about it as you would here in the second half. But not necessarily what you want to see there on that particular play, just having an early timeout to just try to get formations. But then again, this is the Nationals, so sometimes the jitters get a little bit going and just kind of need to settle everything down.
Well, another thing is, a lot of these players don't play with each other, too. You look at Team Indigenous and stuff, and they have players from all over the country. So the ability to practice and everything is not the most ideal. It's another handoff up the middle, that time to number 69, Cadence Rawlings, one of our Red Deer players who plays in the SAFL. She gets brought down pretty quickly, but yeah, like I was saying, it's like because of the nationalness of it, meeting and going through practice and stuff, I don't know how easy that is to do.
Yeah, especially for Team Indigenous, who has players from all over the country. Again, you talk about Team Quebec or the other teams. It's a little bit more regionalized to the province, but again, for Team Indigenous, they have people from Alberta. They have people from Manitoba. They have a lot of people. They ended up doing their training camp a few weeks ago in Winnipeg, where they kind of first all got to be able to kind of connect with each other.
And McKay punting that one away on third down, fielded by Team Quebec. Well, that's
Vio was the returner there, able to get a handful of decent yards on that play, was able to bring that one down. Actually seeing some of the players wearing the Guardian caps, which is always very good, particularly at this young level. No one wants to add any extra danger. Able to cut this one through, makes one move, actually able to just get wrapped up there, but a really nice return. Let's see how Team Quebec comes out with Dallaire starting at QB.
Movement in the backfield, ball snapped, and a handoff to number 83, Emma Allard. Allard takes that one up to the far side and steps out of bounds right about the 35-yard line, which will bring it to a second down for Team Quebec.
Yeah, good first play, using a little bit of pre-snap motion, just trying to fake out the defense, finding a little bit of open space, and Allard able to get herself a first down.
Motion now, ball snapped, Quebec dropping back. There's the throw, and it falls incomplete. Marisol Chantelois is the intended target, and it falls incomplete.
Just a little bit in and out of hands on that particular play. A lot of pre-snap motion in this one, just trying to get everything going. And that one over to the tight end, just trying to really settle things down, and fortunately just in and out of the hands on that play.
As a personnel change for Quebec, I think that you're looking to probably punt on third down. Going with the QB sneak up the middle. Quebec is successful. That's Marisol Chantoile on the carry. Does have enough for a first down and a few more yards on top of that. So it will be our first down of the game.
Not quite tush-push level in that one, but it was all so effective, just rumbling and stumbling up the middle, and that's exactly what you want to see happen when you're trying to get some of those short yardage plays. Great play there by Team Quebec.
And Allard back to receive the snap for Team Quebec. Handoff there to number 2, Alexandre Belanger. And she's brought down to the backfield. Pair of Indigenous players making the tackle.
Rawlings getting in there and just wrapping her up right away, just really slowing down that rushing attack and not really allowing her to go too much farther than where she was able to get to.
Justice Barron's also in on the tackle alongside Cadence Rollins. Hello. Receiving the snap once again, motions towards the left, hooks back right, steps inside, cuts. Marks right towards that far hash mark before finally being brought down. There are some flags on the play near where the line of scrimmage was. We'll have to wait and see what those are for. So we have some tech stuff sorted out beside us here in the broadcast booth.
Offside. Indigenous number 1. The penalty is applied.
So offside called against the defense. That will be declined as Dallaire was able to get way more yards than what she needed compared to the penalty yardage. So first down for Team Quebec. They are spotted at the 15-yard line.
Good job making that run. Again, not necessarily just picking one particular lane and settling that one. Again, finding a way and cutting through the defense.
Dallaire scrambling around in the backfield again. Cuts back inside. I think there's going to be a holding penalty called against Quebec there, as Dallaire works her way inside the 5, finally brought down around the 2. But there's that flag on that far sideline.
Got a good initial run, but again, good spot there. Potential holding call bringing this one back. It does appear to be holding on Team Quebec, so unfortunately for them, a great run negated by a penalty.
For 4 yards of game. Holding. Go back to the 51. Taking our penalty. Still first down.
So it's going to be first down and long on this particular play. Let's see ultimately what is going to happen, as we saw quarterback just able to slice through the defense and almost got into the end zone. And not afraid to rush the ball when she has the opportunity to.
So the penalty was against Quebec. We were back 10 yards. There was a holding penalty. Ball snapped, Alal throwing it towards the far sideline. A receiver tackled out of bounds. That was number 17, Dornia Ojej. And we'll bring up second down now for Team Quebec. Dalal receiving the snap, handing it off once again. Attempt number 17, Adej, one more time. She's brought down near the original line of scrimmage. So I'll bring up third down for Team Quebec at the 15-yard line.
Yeah, good job getting back to the original line of scrimmage. Not necessarily easy in some of those circumstances, especially after that first down holding call. Let's see what they're going to be able to try to draw up here on this next play.
Change of personnel now for Team Quebec. I think they're going to go for a field goal.
Hearing some of the coaching staff yell field goal, so that is likely. Try to take the points where you can get them.
And it's not the worst idea. Points are definitely helpful. Now it's number 22, Oceania Allard, back to lining up to kick. And Quebec will call a timeout. So with that, we'll read our next sponsor. We'd like to thank the Government of Alberta for the generous financial contributions for U18 National Tournament and their continued support to minor football across Alberta. Lots of fun, lots of sponsors. We'll get through them all eventually. Day one.
Always great to have a lot of talented sponsors coming out here and supporting youth sports in any sort of level, and particularly this particular tournament. Again, you don't necessarily hear a lot about women's football, particularly here in Canada, and if they're able to go out there and show a lot of support, then we thank them any way that we possibly can.
It's definitely growing. It's nice to see, and it's very, very. It's on the newer side, especially compared to men's football, but it's growing, and it's definitely showing that it's growing across the country for sure, which is very nice.
Yes, yeah, and again, you just talked about some of the leagues in Quebec. Really only been around for 2 years at this point, and so they're trying to grow that and just really build up a lot of those programs out there, and it's really good to see.
And once again, that is Oceana Allard lining up for the kick. But the 22-yard line, ball down, ball up, and it is wide to the right, but it will have enough to roll through the end zone. So we have our first point of the game. And it's going to be 1-0 for Team Quebec off of the Rouge.
One of my...
The trusty Rouge.
Yep. One of those fun, interesting rules in Canadian football, that's for sure, needless to say, but...
Old rugby rule.
Yes, indeed, but nonetheless, a point still up on the board, and so let's see how Team Indigenous ultimately comes back and responds. Again, not able to quite get much on the offensive side going, and Team Quebec able to really control and dictate the pace of what their offense was able to go out there and do. So a little bit of adversity here in this one just to kick things off and really just try to see how everything's going to ultimately happen.
So 6.5 to go here in the first quarter. Still lots of football to be played. Team Indigenous now lining up for the snap. Ball is down. Quarterback has it. That's number 15, Deschambault, throwing that one away under pressure. Falls incomplete. So it'll bring up second and 10.
Sienna DeChambeau, coaching staff feels that she is really, really smart with her football IQ. Again, they've been saying that there's been times where they'll call a play to her and she'll actually change it in the huddle just from what she's seeing, from what the defense ultimately comes out there and brings. And a lot of the times it ends up working. So the coaching staff goes, well, that's not the play that we're trying to run, and it worked anyways. So we're going to be more than happy with it.
I mean, sometimes it's all you need. If you're able to fix a broken play and still get a result, then that's what you got to do. As DeChambeau receives the snap one more time, looking towards the near side of the field, finding number 2, Helena McKay, and McKay is brought down by a pair of Quebec defenders. Oceana Alal comes out of the pile with the ball. And it's going to be ruled third down. They're going to say McKay was down before the ball came out. And I apologize for our technical difficulties. Now Team Indigenous lines up for another punt. Ball is snapped. Ball is away. Running towards the near side, number 80. That's touched. It is a live ball. Now it's a fight on the ground for it. As Olivia Zavao, and the ball bounce off of her hands, and she does recover it. So the ball will be spotted at the 45-yard line. First down for Team Quebec.
Really having to track that one down. Just got a little bit in front of her on that one and just bounces off her hands. Almost a type of play that worked in the favor of Team Indigenous and really just almost try to change this around. Now let's see what Team Indigenous can do on the defensive side of the ball. And
I know it's helpful to catch the ball in the air, but sometimes you just got to let it bounce and not have to risk potentially losing it off of a bad turnover like that. It's a handoff for Team Quebec, number 9, Emma Christian. So that's number 8, Michele, and she'll take that one right to the house for our first touchdown of the game. Touchdown for Team Quebec.
Good, just immediately getting that handoff, finding a little bit of crease, having to break a couple of tackles on the way, and then bringing that one to the house for our first score. Team Quebec, they like to say that they're a bit of a balanced offense that uses everyone to their advantage, and boy, oh boy, did that play immediately work after that little bit of an play on the punt return.
I mean, that's what you need, just really get the momentum on your side. Now 7 straight points as they line up for the extra point. Ball down, and ball is through. Yep, it is through. So now it's 8-0 for Team Quebec. Hopefully we should be good on the sound side of things.
Technical difficulties on the first day. It's something to be expected of the tournaments, but hopefully we are A-okay here with what is happening. And again, if you are Team Indigenous right now, again, the score is what the score is at the moment. Still a ton of football left to be played in this game. But ultimately, what you need to do is you need to kind of settle things down, try to get some more movement on offense, and just kind of really start to allow your defense to have a little bit of time to breathe on the sidelines, just because you can't constantly have 2 and outs.
Team Quebec lining up for the kickoff. Ball spotted at the 45. It's Marisol Chantoil. Booming that one down the field. Right through the legs of number 22, Justice Behrens. She has to go back to the 10-yard line to scoop that one up. And she's instantly brought down by number 12, Nora Orlando. Not really what you want to be doing following a touchdown.
Yeah, again, you don't want to be going backwards, but again, all you need to do is just get 1 first down on offense, build a little bit of confidence, build a little bit of momentum, and then you can start to really get things going. And not where you want to be as this one travels a little bit farther back, but Team Quebec, again, talk about their defense and their special teams. Not necessarily the biggest players that you're going to see this tournament, but they like to play fast, and that was a fast play.
As Team Indigenous is back on their own 11-yard line, taking the snap, quick little toss play, and that's instantly wrapped up by Team Quebec. Annabella Cardinal not really getting much ground on that one.
Yeah, again, tried to do a little bit of the trickery right there, but a pair of defenders for Team Quebec was right there and was quickly able to swallow that one up. Just a little over 4:15 still remaining here in this first quarter.
Ball snapped again. Quebec back. And a quick toss away under pressure again. Deschambault alertly just getting rid of it. We'll bring up third down for Team Indigenous.
Yeah, some immediate pressure for Deschambault. Just can't really get anything off on that particular play and just has to toss that one away. Luckily was out of the pocket, so we're not going to have to worry about intentional grounding. But just trying to get it to anyone and everyone. And as we see Team Quebec rightfully jumping on top of it as if it could have potentially been a fumble. It's always good fundamentals.
Looks like a wholesale line change going on. Team Indigenous might be punting. I believe they will be. And they do line up in punt formation. Quick snap. I don't even think half their team was settled at that point in time. But they did get it away. It is caught and fielded by number 83, Emmy Alal. She takes it towards the near side. And pardon me, that's number 80, Eloise Vao. Much better than the last punt return that she had. She gets that one up inside the 5.
Yeah, just an excellent job at finding that one and bringing that one in. The ball was a little bit of a wobbler in the air, so those are really tricky to ultimately try to bring down, but she was able to get it. She read the holes that were there, made one move, and as you can see here on the replay, just trying to move this one forward, and just the last second tackle by number 22, Burns, just able to settle things down and just finally get that one down, but great opportunity here for Team Quebec to try to get another early score.
Holding. Go back. Penalty. Still first down.
However, that will be taken back to the 30. There was a hold during the return. I'm not sure where that one was. I did miss that. So after a great punt return, they're a little bit of a setback, but still great field position if you're Team Quebec.
Always being on the plus side of the field, that gives your offense just tons and tons of extra opportunities to just really set things up, and that puts you in a really good spot.
Quebec waiting for the snap. Finally, there it goes. Quarterback scrambling in the backfield. That's Anne-Frédéric Goyette. New quarterback in for Team Quebec. She's still scrambling. Ball pops loose. Team Indigenous, I believe, has recovered. I'm not really sure how Goyette managed to lose that one, but it's Lindy Gardner coming out of the pile with the ball.
Trying to do a little bit too much with the football, try to play a little bit too much hero ball, avoids one tackler, able to get free, still trying to look down the field, ultimately turns into a little bit of a runner on this play, tries to make one move and tries to actually shift it in her hands, and during that shift of the football, that's when that one ultimately ends up popping out. And so Team Indigenous back here with the football.
Throwing downfield on first down. It is a completed pass. Deschambault finding number 9, Arabella Cardinal. Quick fire play for Team Indigenous, trying to catch Quebec off guard.
That's the type
we weren't even ready up here.
Yeah, that's the type of momentum that you need to have, able to get a quick turnover, and Cardinal able to break through the defense and actually called for it, able to bring that one down while 2 defenders are on top of her. Good job. Deschambault
getting a snap, dropping back, firing it over to Cardinal once again. Cardinal missing one. Head on the Quebec defender. Has about 7 on the passing play.
And you know what? When necessarily the run game doesn't start to work for you early in games, sometimes quick passes like this, almost a little bit of a wide receiver motion screen type situation from what we saw there from Cardinal, that's almost as good as if you can get a little bit of a run off, just because not necessarily super long plays, but that allows your offense to build some momentum.
A quick fire tossing play again for Indigenous, instantly bottled up by Team Quebec. Allard in on the tackle, instantly hitting the running back.
Yeah, she has just been a force to be reckoned with on the defensive side of the ball, just constantly making a handful of plays and just wrecking that offensive line. Again, we've seen this a few times where it's just been the quick toss play to just try to get that one forward. Quebec, every single time, has been able to match that one nicely.
Deschambault aligning her players, finally calling for the snap. Looking to pass again, firing. Caught towards the near sideline. Did she have control is the question. The referee on the sideline says yes, and it is Arabella Cardinal keeping Indigenous offense on the field, giving them another first down.
Yeah, and this is exactly the type of drive that you need if you are Team Indigenous. Again, able to get that turnover on defense, build some momentum here on offense. This actually allows your defense to get a little bit of rest time as well, and you're starting to move the ball really nicely, and Cardinal and Deschambault clearly have a good connection right now.
Ball snap, Deschambault towards the near side, finding Helena McKay. Brought down by, I think, 4 Quebec defenders on the nearest sideline. Has about 7 yards again on the quick little passing play.
Yeah, the quick running back screen on this one, just getting everyone set out and a few linemen in front of her, just clearing the path and ultimately doing a little bit of Derrick Henry trucking everyone over, trying to get that little bit extra. Very, very good, consistent drive here by Team Indigenous.
Lining up from the Quebec 48. And up to number 2, Helena McKay. Gets back to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, again, this defensive line for Team Quebec has been doing a really bang-up job at really just trying to slow everything down and not really allow anyone to get through. Again, just looking at that, McKay just tried to find that little bit of extra space, but just couldn't quite find a crease. So we are 3rd and 3 here at the moment. So let's see what Team Indigenous is going to draw up as we are officially done for our first quarter of this particular contest, where we currently have a score of 9-0 for Team Quebec over Team Indigenous here in game number 1 of the 2025 U18 Nationals. Thank you all for hanging out with us here in what has been a very fun little tournament so far, and hopefully you hang out with us here for the remainder part of today. Have some more games on Wednesday, and then next Saturday will ultimately be the days where we are deciding everything and finishing everything off. So again, still about 3rd and 3 here for Team Indigenous. Offense still out there. Deschambault in the backfield. She gets the ball, fakes the toss, throws this one down, tries to find Cardinal, it just goes off of her hands. And Team Quebec, after struggling a little bit on the defensive side of the ball on this particular series, is ultimately able to come away with it. But Team Indigenous has been able to build a ton off of these last couple of plays, and Deschambault tries to find Cardinal, just bounces off the tip of her fingers on that particular play. So let's see what Team Quebec is going to be able to draw up here. Dallaire in the backfield. Motion. Fake handoff. Actually got it to her running back, Allard. Able to find a little bit of a crease, but good job by Team Indigenous to slow everything up there on that play. Not able to find a little bit of space on that one as Allard immediately wrapped up. Again, some good play motion. Allard able to get the ball off the redirect, tried to cut that one into the middle, but immediately found a handful of Indigenous players. Snap coming. Handoff. Trying to break this one through. Makes one cut, almost to the first down line. Coming oh so close. Solange very close to kind of sneaking through on that particular bit of motion. Found a little bit of a crease, and we are going to be 3rd and about 2 on this one. Good handoff here. Cuts this one through. Avoids 2 tackles. Able to just find a little bit of a crease. Under center. Looking like it's going to be a little bit of a push. Team Quebec ultimately able to get through with the first down. Again, that is such a tough play for any level to kind of settle down and ultimately control, but Team Quebec doing the semi-tush-push type play on that one, ultimately able to generate the first down.
They really seem to be liking that, and it's working well for them.
Well, if it works for the Eagles at 90-something%, then why won't it work here?
And fair enough. Team Quebec lining up at the Indigenous 49-yard line. Of course, looking to extend on. Slightly different than normal. Run up the near side for number 17. Odej. She's brought down after about a 6, maybe 7-yard gain.
Odej able to get that one off of the handoff and find a little bit of space, is able to bring that one in for almost about, looks like 8 yards. Off the little bit of the redirect. Again, that's something that we're seeing a lot from these teams. The second that the ball is snapped, potentially trying to go one way, making a lot of plays look the same, but making plays that look the same also being different.
Well, and that's the other thing, is how in depth of a playbook can you install in such a short amount of time between selection camp and when you actually show up at the tournament. Is this another run up the middle for Team Quebec?
Right, able to bring that one through, and again, under center, it's one thing that for me, as someone who loves offense, always want to get under center, because that allows your quarterback to redirect a lot of different things, because when they're turning back, you can potentially hand it off, you can potentially turn right back around and throw the ball. It makes it really tricky for defenses to really know exactly what's going to happen.
Quarterback dropping back in the pocket, that's Alain Dallaire. Fires down towards the far side, brought down by finding number 88, Marisol Chantal.
Chantal doing a good job of bringing that one in and almost stiff-arming her opponent. Again, talk about that quarterback under center. You can do so much with the disguises on that one. Again, you're just able to take that one, turn right around, toss it to your teammate, gain a handful of yardage. Again, we are second and short, and this is exactly where you want to be.
And Dallaire running up for the handoff. And finding a way through a tackle into the end zone. That's McKay Hoyi. Another touchdown. I think that's her second one of the game for Team Quebec.
Yeah, Hoyi able to just get that one, initially breaking through the line and just able to outrun everyone on the particular play in Quebec. Really doing a bang-up job at just trying to find some offense as we see this one. Again, under center, just able to get this one some good blocking from the offensive line and from some of the receivers, and was just able to break that initial tackle, and then she was off to the races. No one was going to catch her at that point.
Well, her offensive line did exactly what they needed to do, finding that hole, and then she did the rest, breaking that one tackle, and here we are lining up for another convert attempt for Team Quebec. So we do have a pre-snap whistle. It's Marisol Chantal on who's the kicker for Team Quebec. And ball is down, and it is pretty much on the ground the entire way, so that convert is no good. It'll remain 15-0 for Team Quebec with 7:51 to go in quarter number 2.
And if you are Team Indigenous right now, unfortunately for yourselves, you had Cardinal just had that ball go right through her hands on that last opportunity, but you can't look at that. What you need to continue to think about is just getting back to what was working on that last series, because again, if you didn't have that drop on that play, very easily could have scored on that last possession. Need to be a little bit of a goldfish right now, have that short-term memory, get back to what was working on that last drive, and continue to just try to chip away at this lead. Again, still a ton of football left to be played in this game.
Yeah, I was told by one of my football coaches back in the day that especially as a receiver, you need that football amnesia. Just instantly forget about it, just focus on the next play and the next play and the next play. It's already happened. It doesn't really matter anymore.
See, my football coach said if a ball hits your hands and it goes on the ground, that's push-ups.
I mean, that too. I try to install that to my players. But nonetheless, Quebec kicking off one more time. Bouncing and just stopping dead right at the 38-yard line. Chloe McKay picking that one up and instantly brought down by Team Quebec one more time.
Chloe McKay initially fumbling around with the ball a little bit on that particular play. Hopefully everyone appears to be A-okay on the play, as we do have a player down. Some of the staff's coming out as just a bunch of players jumping on top, and hopefully Kay's going to be okay on that one, as she took a big shot at the end of that one, trying to make something happen after a little bit of a broken play. Never like to see this, and I know, again, we talked about it at the opening stages of the broadcast for Team Indigenous. They lost their quarterback in the last game of the tournament, and so they know a lot about trying to overcome adversity from injuries, and hopefully this is just a little bit of a stinger, a little bit out of breath, and that's all it is, and hopefully everyone can get back out there.
Yeah, and that's all we can do from our side of things too, is just hope for the best for the player, and hopefully they're able to return in this game, and if not, at least for the rest of the tournament and stuff, because every player is crucial to all of these teams. Very small rosters, especially in comparison to the men's side of things, where if you look at the CFL, they have 65-man rosters.
Even go to some college football programs where you get up to 90 players in certain circumstances, and
that's a lot.
Boy, is it ever. But yeah, again, right now, just thankful for all the sponsors for able to help out everything with this tournament. Again, just talking with Team Quebec, or pardon me, Team Indigenous before this game. The province of Alberta and CFL able to just apply a lot of support to ultimately allow this team to even be a part and just have a roster to even come to this particular tournament. Incredibly grateful that they are able to come out here and show these young athletes.
I thank one of our sponsors, the Make a Diff Sports Foundation, for their support in growing women's sports at the grassroots level, innovating and developing programs across the province since 2013.
Well, talking about the offense that ultimately was able to work for Team Indigenous, it was, again, not really using some of those running plays, because Team Quebec has just been able to break through that offensive line and quickly swallow up some of the running plays. But getting back to that quick pass, almost using a bunch of those quick screens, just allowing them to almost essentially use those as your running plays, something that you often see. Take for instance the 49ers in the NFL, where it's a lot of just quick plays. You can use a lot of different looks, and last series it opened up a lot more for Team Indigenous because they were able to get some of those quick plays, which allowed them to start using some of those more deeper passes. And if they can start to get back to some of that, that's going to be ultimately beneficial. But the player is able to get up and walk off under their own power, and so that is the best thing that we can see at this current moment.
Of course, I do hope for a speedy recovery for Chloe McKay. Yeah, like you're mentioning, is like the one thing that is really working for Team Indigenous is just catching Quebec off guard, taking a lot of time to get back to the line of scrimmage, just snapping it almost right away. Not letting that defense get settled at all. Yeah, those are the plays that have worked so far.
Just immediately getting out there, not having to try to identify too much, just going, this is what's going to work for us, and we're going to go out there and do it.
As Deschambault receives the snap, throwing towards the nearest side of the fields, finding her receiver, who's instantly brought down by Charlotte Couture. Mr. is number 9, Cardinal, one more time. Seems to be that favorite target of Deschambault.
Yeah, again, when you have a reliable receiver, and again, on that last play for the offense for Team Indigenous, Cardinal did have that drop, so that's almost them going out there and saying, hey, we want you to get your confidence back. We're going to give you a quick toss, get those hands settled down, and just try to get our offense working again.
As Deschambault waits for another snap, fakes the toss, goes for the RB screen. And the running back, Helena McKay, brought down after a short gain by a pair of Quebec defenders.
Yeah, that was a nice setup and execution of the play. Just trying to initially fake it to Cardinal, goes back, turns back to McKay, and McKay just trying to bulldoze over a bunch of people. But I do believe Team Indigenous is going to be bringing out the punt unit. Again, 3rd and 5. That's a little bit of a tricky spot to try to ultimately get some of those yardage back.
It's likely it's about 3rd and 6 for Team Indigenous. Ball snapped. Ball is punted away. And Quebec back to return at the number 12, running up the far side, Nora Rondeau. And she's brought down about the 45-yard line. Can't see they made the tackle up here on the far side of the field.
Rondeau a little bit shaken up after that play, but Team Quebec, again, not afraid to use multiple different returners as she was trying to break through. Takes a little bit of a shot to the hip area on that one. A little bit of a stinger, immediately comes back up. Hopefully it's going to be okay. Again, a little bit of a chillier day here in Calgary, not necessarily what you would want to hope for from mid-July type day.
Well, that's the other thing, is we're used to it here at Shoal-Ice Athletic Park, where we're in the valley, right on the river's edge, so it's very windy down here compared to a lot of the rest of the city, and you definitely see that every single game day and stuff. So some of these players might not be fully used to that. I know it's not like Lethbridge level of winds, but compared to a lot of the other cities or practice areas and stuff, it's not the most ideal to have to play in.
Yeah, Team Quebec, they've been saying to me that they've been basically just practicing in nothing but rainy weather, so they ultimately feel a little bit more comfortable in this sort of weather. And but yeah, again, a little bit of a chillier day, so maybe some muscles not fully adjusted and warmed up properly, so just get a little bit of a stinger sometimes when you get that little bit of a hit. And
illegal interference on the kicker. Quebec number 22. 10-yard penalty. It's still Quebec first down.
So a penalty against Quebec for illegal interference against the kicker. They do still have possession, but they will return, or they'll get marched back to their own 45-yard line. And yeah, like I say, with Quebec practicing and stuff in the rain, Montreal had some flooding recently. The Montreal area had some flooding recently, so hopefully Rudy over there is doing okay and recovering from their severe weather. I know we've had some severe weather here, especially in the northern part of Calgary, where it's had some flash flooding as well.
Soccer fields turning into rivers.
It's Quebec under center. Ball snapped. Number 4, Anne-Frédérique Goyette, calling her own number. Sorry, she does hand it off, and that's number 8, Hoyi. That takes that one 5 yards forward up that far side hash mark.
Hoyi then has just been doing a really good job of finding some of the space again. Just that little bit of a fake kind of handoff there, almost looking like it was going to happen. Maybe a little bit of a disconnect, as we saw one way trying to go the other way, so a little bit of miscommunication, but ultimately able to gain 5 yards on that play. So broken play that ultimately turned out good.
Yeah, it definitely looked like a broken play on that replay, but regardless, Goyette lining up for the snap again, dropping back, quick hitter to the near side, finding number 89, Malash brought down on the near side by number 22, Justin Sperrins. Good little quick hitter for Team Quebec.
Yeah, again, some of those quick plays that we've seen ultimately from Team Indigenous, allowing Team Quebec to ultimately gain a little bit here. Again, neither team has really been able to get the running game working on a regular, consistent basis. Team Quebec has had 2 explosive run plays, but other than that, nothing has really been able to open up, and some of these quick passes that allows your running game to open up because it forces the opposing team to not stack the box as much.
Goyette receiving the snap, tossing that one off to number 8, Hoyi, and Hoyi brought down again. Barons all over the field for that Team Indigenous defense, making another tackle right there.
Justice Barons holding on for dear life for the shoe, basically saying, you are not going anywhere, I am bringing you down here, because if Barons wasn't able to finish that one off, we might still be seeing runners go.
And sometimes you just need those players that can step up and, get on either side of the field that quickly. Help limit the damage a little bit.
Let's see what Team Quebec has been drawn up. Again, playing a lot of their offense under center these last couple plays, ultimately looking like they're going to go back into this more shotgun.
Right as you say, they were under center. Goyette lining up for the snap, takes it, hand off to Hoyi one more time. Hoyi looking like she almost broke that first tackle, but eventually stumbles down. We'll bring up 3rd down for Team Quebec.
Yeah, Hoyi able to initially get that first tackle from her replay. Snap a little bit high up in the air, kind of slowing things down. Need a knee on that one. That's what ultimately is going to cause that one to get settled down. Bring out. We are going to have a handful of penalty markers down. This one can go all the way back.
So Chantoile, She ends up getting into the end zone, but the question is, will it stand? We also do have a Team Indigenous player down, injured on the play. Hopefully there's nothing too serious over there. And that's back near the 30-yard line behind the play.
Yeah, what usually for that type of play, ultimately just short yardage, ultimately allowed them to gain a ton of yardage, actually able to get all the way to the back of the end zone, but might have been a little bit helped out by some players jumping offside one way or the other, but hopefully, fortunately, can't see the number.
So that penalty will be against the defense. That will be declined. It is a touchdown for Team Quebec. So Marisol Chantoile's touchdown will stand. I believe that's her first of the game.
Just an excellent run to not necessarily go right up the middle. She actually hesitated a little bit at the start and then broke outside. Again, we've seen Team Quebec use this play really effectively twice so far, and it's just been straight up the middle. So good job at actually deciding to go, you know what, we're going to make this play look exactly the same, but we're going to change it up a little bit and actually cut outside and really open the field up. But hopefully everyone appears to be A-okay, and fortunately didn't catch the number for a Team Indigenous player that ultimately went down.
Yeah, I missed it as well. Hopefully the player is doing okay. And hopefully we see them later in the game. Bad snap. She's receiving it. And that convert attempt will be no good, so it'll remain at 21-0 in favor of Team Quebec.
Yeah, a little bit of an interesting snap there that ultimately caused a little bit of indecisiveness of just trying to get everything settled down. As we can see here, just on the replay, kick, it's ready to go. I'd be shocked if this was an intentional one, as it just kind of went by, and just a little bit of a scramble drill at the end of that particular play, and away we go.
A little difficult to see in that replay angle, but yeah, the holder definitely had some trouble corralling that one as it came back. But nonetheless, touchdown still stands. That's the important side of things, at least. There we go. Here's our replay angle.
Snap was down,
low
a little
snap.
bit of a fumble, and just tried to make something out of nothing on that one.
At this point, I'd like to shout out Hilberg and Burke and NFL Canada for their support and providing special gifts for all of our tournament award winners. Also, don't forget to check out NFL Canada. I guess if you're here, don't forget to check out NFL Canada's photo booth. We'll be showing up during the tournament. Broadcast. If anybody else.
If you're here in the Calgary or surrounding area, might as well come out to support a great little tournament. Not sure what the delay on that one is, just I think getting
wrong personnel on the field.
Personnel, yeah, exactly.
So Shannon Nadal, I think that was the last one to come out. She might not have had her tea. Trying to go before the whistle went, and finally is able to go, and it's recovered by Chantal McClure. Jumps instantly to just maintain possession for Team Indigenous, and they'll start at their own 49.
Yeah, there's been some very interesting bounces of the football when it's been on the ground, so McClure just wisely says, you know what, I'm just going to jump on top of this and not take anything extra and allow Quebec to try to get anything. Again, really interested to see Team Indigenous offense just try to get back to what they were doing on that one drive closer to the end of the first quarter. Just trying to get some of those quick passes out. Again, try to reestablish that connection between Deschambault and Cardinal. Really get things moving.
Ball is snapped. Deschambault finding Cardinal. And instantly brought down after a short gain.
Yeah, some of those short slants that you see, what they typically try to do is it allows your quarterback to have an easy pitch and catch. And you're just hoping that your receiver is able to break through the defense a little bit. Hopefully they're trying to play a little bit of zone coverage. That particular time was a little bit more man coverage. And again, Team Quebec, their identity on defense is we're not big, but we're fast. So if you are Team Indigenous, you got to be aware that this is a fast defense that likes to try to take the ball away from your opponent and really just try to find a way to get some extra yards.
Deschambault lining up for the snap. Almost a flying V formation here for Team Indigenous. Ball snap, Deschambault dropping back, tossing it up the middle, finding her receiver, number 2, Helena McKay, one more time. It's about another 4 yards on the play. It'll bring up 3rd down for Team Indigenous.
Yeah, it's always good to get your running back involved in the passing game, just trying to get that one up and over the middle. Again, not an easy catch for McKay, facing all sorts of pressure on top of her, but is still able to come down with the ball. Team Indigenous still out there on offense, trying to get something happening.
Need the 1st down here, need some points. As they try the reverse, ball pops loose. Quebec recovers. It's Emily Honko on the recovery.
Interested to see the replay on this particular play, exactly what happened. Not sure if it was a bobbled exchange. You see Deschambault getting the football. That one goes in, and again, it was that little bit of a reverse play, trying to hand that one off to Faith Deschambault, and just really trying to settle things down. Sienna's younger sister, again, the two young players talking about how this is the only time they're ever going to be able to play on the same team together, and fortunately that one just didn't work out.
So handoff there, number 83, Emilia. She steps out of bounds at about the 43-yard line. Good pick up for Team Quebec as they're back on the field looking to add to their lead.
Yeah, this is an opportunity again where we're in this stage of the game where you're not necessarily just going to try to chew the clock away, but you can definitely don't want to try to apply too much pressure in this one in all sorts of trying to be fair. But at this stage of the game, if you can try to establish a really strong run game, that's going to help yourself out throughout the good portion of this one.
We've done back in at quarterback for Team Quebec. She throws that one. Kind of awkward looking throw towards that far side of the field, trying to find number 53, Megan Zodouan on that far side. It falls incomplete though.
Yeah, unfortunately that one just a little bit of a high snap, trying to slow everything down, having to kind of settle it, trying to look for that pass, and a little bit of an awkward pass as it was coming out of her hands, but just not able to quite connect on that particular play. Let's see what Team Quebec can do here on 3rd and medium.
Dalal waiting for the snap. Ooh, bouncing and rolling forward. It is going to be a turnover pending what the penalty flags are for. That's not really what you want to be doing as the quarterback under center.
One of the things we often talk about when you do have your quarterback under center is those bobbled exchanges from the center to the quarterback. And when you have that, it's really, really dangerous because you're unfortunately right there and there's all sorts of bodies and a lot of people can start to kick the ball around, which we kind of saw on that particular occasion. But is it a little bit of an early jump for Team Indigenous, or was Team Quebec, as this looks like a Team Indigenous player a little bit offside, lining up offside on that play.
Yeah, on the near side of that replay, yep, right on the line. And penalties might be a major issue for Team Indigenous. It's keeping Quebec's offense on the field a few times so far here this afternoon. And yeah, we'll be going against Team Indigenous. We'll get the official call from the head official here.
Yeah, these are self-imposed wounds, unfortunately, for Team Indigenous. Again, lining up offside, those are the ones that coaches just ultimately hate, because it's one that it's not necessarily a reaction penalty, it's one that you could have prevented from the entire start, and plus you were able to get the ball on that particular play off of a fumbled exchange.
Dalal throwing that one towards the far side, finding number 59, Jordan. She's brought down right around the 30-yard line on the far side of the field. But yeah, like you're saying, yeah, those penalties, those kill, especially on plays that you get turnovers on.
Yeah, especially when you give the ball right back to the team and they are able to come out there with a nice quick exchange and able to build some of that momentum up, build some of that confidence back up. That's the last thing you want to do.
Well, and turnovers are such a key part of football too. Like you look at the Stampeders Bombers game the other night. Stampeders, their quarterbacks got sacked a few more times, but 6 turnovers from the defense, really helped propel the Stampeders in that game. And we're seeing it not so much here yet so far, but we have seen turnovers be a factor. As that's
stop by Team Indigenous to kind of slow that one up. Justice again doing a great job at basically being all over the field on that defensive play. But going back to what you're saying about turnovers, at every single level of football that we see, whether it's Canadian football, whether it's American football, whether it's even European football, turnovers are the biggest indicator of who is going to win a game. If you're losing the turnover margin, chances are you're probably losing the game.
That's Lau under center one more time. Looking like they're going for a QB sneak, and she does go right up the middle. Good push from Team Quebec. They keep their offense on the field. Putting that ball right about the 25-yard line with a minute 47 to go here in the first half.
And those plays are absolutely killer on a defensive line, where it's basically just the heavy personnel goes out there and just manhandles and really just slows everyone down. I will say, however, Team Indigenous, that was their best effort against this play so far. Again, every other time that they've done it, one play ultimately resulted in a touchdown, two have resulted in big gains.
When you see it multiple times and stuff, you start getting used to what the formation and stuff looks like for it. Carlisle tossing the one towards the near side. That's Kimmy Forrest brought down after a short gain. A late flag from the head official. Saw something that happened towards the end of the play.
Yeah, Forrest doing a good job. Maybe a little bit of a delay on the toss because felt like Forrest almost had to kind of cut back in to kind of catch that ball. But ultimately able to gain a couple on this one, but still waiting on the actual penalty mark because, again, that one did come in a little bit later on that one.
I believe it's going to be going against Quebec. Just have to wait for our head official to confirm what the penalty actually is for. But in the meantime, we'll like to thank our final sponsors for, I guess, the first half, or at least for now. Lynn Fletcher Weddings and Oculus Private Wealth for their financial support and event management, making this year's tournament shine like never before.
Yeah, again, on that toss play, just a little bit behind the running back of Forrest. Just couldn't quite get there and really slowing things down, but still able to make something out of nothing. As we were going through the sponsor read, and as you were reading the sponsor read, I was watching the play. Unfortunately, neither of us ended up hearing what the actual penalty was, so...
Still haven't called it.
Perfect.
Here we go. Here comes that official.
That's why we haven't heard it yet. Yeah.
Unnecessary roughness, hands to the face.
Ooh, hands to the face penalty, unnecessary roughness called against Quebec. Something you really don't want to be doing, especially running the ball and getting a good chunk of yards off it. You're penalized 15 from the end of the play, so it's going to be about 2nd and 17.
2nd and long, those are always tough plays, but...
And another timeout called by Team Quebec. It's their second of the half.
92 seconds still remaining here in this half of football as we continue to have a fairly standout performance here by Team Quebec, really doing a great job on both offense and defense. Really the only time on defense that they've had a little bit of slowdown was on that one particular drive that ultimately Team Indigenous couldn't quite settle. But so far in this one, Team Quebec has been firing on all cylinders in this one. Second and long, not too often that you see in many playbooks you have really drawn up in this one. I know some coaches oftentimes just like to elect to really just run the ball and just kind of settle things down and kind of have that way it goes. So let's see what Team Quebec draws up here for 2nd and long. And when you have plays like this, most offenses don't really have too many plays to draw up here. So let's see. Deep down in the shotgun. Snap a little bit high, a little bit of a fumble exchange. Able to try to pick this one back up. Eventually get that one. Zoe just couldn't quite get it. Another a fumble exchange there on the play. That's been one of the Achilles heels from this Quebec offense here in this game here. Just not quite able to get everything situated and sorted on some of the handoffs.
Yeah, definitely not looking as crisp and clean as they want to, as it's a passing play now for Team Quebec. Dalal at the near side, finding number 17, Adej, and Adej will take that one right to the house, and a quick hitter from Team Quebec right after the issues on the previous play. They'll take that all day long as they increase their lead up to 27.
Yeah, not only calling that play on 3rd and long and having the confidence go do it, but just able to execute it beautifully, able to get this one, a receiver cutting across behind the back of the offensive line and just able to find a crease and go all the way down. What a play. That is exactly what you want to see from your offense. And they are continuing to fire on all cylinders as this one goes up and through.
It is good. Another 2 points onto the board for Team Quebec to make it 21-0. 1:14 to go in the first half. It's a pretty decent first half so far for our first game at this tournament.
Yeah, it really has. Again, not too many crazy penalties. Again, you always wonder about the early jitters in these particular types of games, but haven't seen anything too crazy in terms of the penalties. But again, you look at both teams, both have had their moments in certain plays, but Team Quebec has really just been firing on all cylinders. Got to look at Team Indigenous going out there and really just try to settle things down going into the second half. Again, if Team Quebec can go out there in one half and score 29, well, why can't Team Indigenous?
Well, exactly. You get those first half jitters out of the way, you kind of get settled in the tournament and more comfortable with how things are going, and hopefully you can turn things around later in the game. You know, that halftime talk from the coach usually helps sometimes. There's a short little kick from Team Quebec, almost onside. Kind of a mix between an onside and a squib kick. A bit of a melee there for possession.
So, eventually who's going to come away with it? Team Indigenous ultimately does. Again, minute 14, still a bunch of time to ultimately try to go out there. Again, if you can go into the dressing room with a touchdown on the board, it really makes things a lot easier for your team coming out in the second half. Especially just trying to settle things down, going, listen, we didn't get the goose egg on the scoreboard in this one, so this is a key drive here for Team Indigenous.
Well, any drive where you can get some momentum and a score is always a beneficial one. As Deschambault takes the snap and hands it off to number 21, Tegan Stewart. Stewart brought down after a short, about a yard gain. Still a fair amount of field to go for Team Indigenous if they want to find any sort of answer here in the end of the first half.
Yeah, Team Indigenous just not able to get anything going on that particular run play. Again, the Team Quebec's, their defensive line has just been able to kind of push through, sneak by, and able to get some tackles to kind of slow things down. 1 yard gain on that last play.
As Deschambault takes the snap once again, scrambling under pressure. Ball pops loose. And I believe Quebec has recovered. They had 3 defenders getting into the backfields after that ball came out.
A strip sack by Team Quebec's defense. That is one of those particular plays where you are just playing with pure, utter confidence and just able to finally get back there and strip that one down, ultimately having a little bit of assistance on that particular play. And Team Quebec's offense able to jump right back out there.
So as Olivia Bautry on the fumble recovery for Team Quebec, watching it here on the replay. She managed to get back to the quarterback, forcing that fumble. And then the ball ended up bouncing towards her as well, and she ends up getting the fumble recovery to boot. Great heads-up play for the Quebec defender. Now they have number 4, Goyette, back in at quarterback, doing a decent job swapping the quarterbacks each and every single drive, or every second drive, throwing us off a little bit.
Yeah, you know what, again, this is one of the things that Team Quebec's offense, they said they're going to utilize everyone and not necessarily just have one person constantly in there. They really, really feel confident with both their starter and their backup. Again, Huette ended up winning her team's championship game this year, so they feel confident about both their QBs.
Well, it's good to see everybody get in on the action. You know, you're here to play in the tournament, not just to watch and stuff. So having that constant rotation, having the confidence, is finding a bit of a bobble there. Was caught and fielded by Beatrice Machol. And does give Quebec another first. I was just saying, is like having the confidence in all of your players to be able to rotate that consistently is very good and helps your team grow, especially into future tournaments as well, because you want to try to get those players to come back.
Goyette doing a good job at actually getting that ball away, because behind the blind side, she had an all-out blitz coming her way, and if she held onto that ball for a second, she would have been absolutely planted. A great pitch and catch there on the play, is able to just continue to get another first down.
Let's go ahead. Taking the snap, handing it off. It's number 2, Belanger, breaking through a tackle, breaking through another one, makes it to the end zone. However, there is a penalty flag down. We'll have to wait and see if this stands.
Yeah, again, great, phenomenal run for us. But penalty flag came out right around that 15-yard line. Just ultimately trying to see as officials take it up, and it appears it's going to be on Team Quebec as potentially a holding call on the play. Final few seconds.
Number 59, 10-yard penalty.
Another one of those unfortunate plays, ones you don't like to see as a coaching staff, especially when you find the back of the end zone. Belanger might be having some words with one of our teammates later, but hopefully not too harsh of words.
Excellent run again. We talked about it in the first quarter where neither team had really started to break away from any of the running game, but in the second quarter, Team Quebec has really started to find that gear again, just really starting to add those chunk runs, trying to get those 6 to 7 plus type runs. Again, third and very, very long on this play. Gonna need points with only 3 seconds still remaining, so what does Team Quebec draw up?
And there's the snap. Goyette throwing a dart downfield, narrowly missing a receiver. I think that's the best passing play we've seen all game so far, and that'll do it for the first half. That was a laser. I was not expecting that.
No, again, on these sort of plays, you need to stretch the defense, and that is exactly what they were attempting to do on that particular play. Just throw it deep and try to get after it. But that's going to do it for this half of football, where Team Quebec currently has a commanding lead of 29-0 over Team Indigenous. What a game we've had so far.
Yeah, it's been great, and we'll come back for the second half in about 10 minutes' time. For now, we'll let you enjoy our series of adverts in the meantime.
This has been a fun one so far.
It has been a fun one so far. It's a good start to the tournament. It's nice to see both of these teams, getting ready to start and everything. Of course, you have your initial jitters when you have to come into something like this, but we're here, we're underway. Hopefully the second half will be a little bit different. This team Indigenous set to kick off, defending the north end zone. Short hopper. Quebec does recover, and we'll start off with possession.
Almost looked like that was potentially a little bit of a squib kick, almost maybe a little bit of an onside type situation. Tried to settle things down, and for Team Indigenous, the initial goal to try to get a little bit of a bouncer ultimately ended up working out, but just not quite able to sneak up and jump on top of that football. A little bit of a tricky play to start it, and Team Quebec able to jump on and recover.
Quebec will start this drive from their own 48-yard line. And Stadal back to receive the snap. Finally calling for it. Handing it off to one of her teammates, the running back number 2, Alexandra Bélanger. Brought down actually in the backfield. It's going to be a loss of a yard for Team Quebec.
One of the biggest differences between these two teams throughout this game so far is just the physicality. Team Quebec has definitely been able to push the ball, or the line of scrimmage, just that little bit more between the two sides, and Team Indigenous doing a really good job on that particular play, able to get into the back of the backfield and cause a loss of yardage. That's how you want to start in the second half.
Well, yeah, especially, how the first half went, being able to do that on the first play of the game on the second half is definitely something to build upon. As Dalal throwing that one to a wide open receiver downfield, too much time to think about it, bouncing off the hands a couple times, and it falls incomplete. Intended target, Emmy Alal.
Just not able to come down with that one. Almost looked like a cartoon right there, where it just first bounced in and out and in and out. Maybe had a little bit of popcorn in between halves, as that one just not able to connect. One of the best passes we have seen so far. And again, just not able to come down with that one. That was a house call if that one was completed.
It was one of the passing plays that I kind of hated as a receiver, was when you were too wide open, you had too much time to think about it. You just sat there waiting for it. I got it. And then it's like, oh, I don't got it anymore. Let's get back punting away on third down. Team Indigenous back to return. Having some troubles with it was number 22, Justice Barons. It's not the first time we've seen that so far today.
Yeah, Barron's doing a good job at initially, after kind of fumbling the exchange with the football right there, just wisely jumping on top of it, saying, you know what, I'm not going to try to rush this and try to make any fancy move. I'm just going to jump on top of it and say, you know what, this is over.
Nonetheless, Team Indigenous will have their first possession of the second half back at their own 36-yard line.
And what worked for Team Indigenous in the first quarter was quick passes that allowed them to try to open everything up. And again, the combination of DeChambeau to Cardinal really worked, so I expect that to also be a factor here.
Ball snapped, handed off to number 20 running out the near side. That was Hayden Courchain. She's brought down in the backfield by a Quebec defender. With us, Nora Rondeau again.
Yeah, what an amazing play by Dyson. Just able to jump right in there and just slow that play down for a loss of yards. As we can see here on the replay, just able to kind of run through and just make an excellent open field tackle. That is what you love to see, and can't really draw that one up any better on the defensive side of the ball.
DeChambeau lining up for the snap, takes it, stepping towards the near side, throwing that one towards the near side sideline. There is a penalty flag towards the end of the play, as Sienna was trying to find her sister Faith DeChambeau.
Third down.
And the two, the only time they're ever going to be able to play with each other, and so trying to get that connection as just a little bit ahead of Faith on that particular pass, but she was all sorts of wrapped up on the particular play. Do have a penalty. It's going to go on Team Quebec, so a first down, our first of the half.
Going to be pass interference called against the defense. Spotting that ball at the 40-yard line. Sienna DeChambeau will line up, wait for the official to blow the play in, and she'll get through a play call. Getting the snap, dropping back in the pocket, going for a quick throw as referee Mike a little hot there. Turn it off. I shouldn't honestly turning it off. That's already hear the last penalty call. That pass falls incomplete. It'll bring up 2nd and 10.
One of those fun situations where we're all able to laugh on that one, but an interception almost happened on that particular play. Again, Team Quebec, they want to come out there and try to get a handful of turnovers throughout this tournament, but the referee giving us all up here in the broadcast booth a good chuckle.
I will say, at least we didn't get the whistle through the mic. Quick little handoff there for Team Indigenous. That's Helena McKay running that one forward. Brought down in a quick hurry by that Quebec defense. Like you said, they are fast. And they are definitely showing why they are fast.
Yeah, 3rd and about 8 on this next play. Team Indigenous having to bring out the punt unit again after that pass interference, allowing them to get that first down. Not able to get anything much after that one. So Team Quebec, again, they say we're not the biggest defense out there, but we're quick. We're savvy, and we like to attack the football. And we saw it on these last 2 plays.
Ball is snapped and punted away by Team National Indigenous. Fielded it back by number 12, Nora Rondeau. She takes on up the far sideline, still with it. Makes it to the 20. 10, and Rondeau will find the end zone, extending Quebec's lead. This is about a 65-yard punt return touchdown. Good return up that far sideline for Rondeau or Team Quebec.
Rondeau doing a great job, and she was able to bring that ball into her possession and just take it all the way down. Once we see the replay on this return, that was a thing of beauty. Again, punt returns are not an easy thing to do. As we see, able to find a little bit of space. She has all sorts of speeds, throws on the jits and cuts through right there, and then just throws on the afterburners right there. No one is going to catch her. What a play. Team Quebec extends their lead.
And the earlier snaps will have to reset. Yeah, field that one from the 45-yard line, returning it all the way to the end zone.
That's one way to add some points to the scoreboard.
Ball down, ball is up, and it is through. That's another 2 points for Team Quebec, bringing their total up to 37.
So at this moment, we do have to mention that if we do have 35 or above points score, which we do now officially, I believe once the kickoff happens, we will officially just go into runtime, which means the clock does not stop. It stops on scores, yes indeed, yep. It's always good to have the extra rule officials up here in the booth with you just to clarify everything for us. Again, everything getting settled, but that runtime is now in effect. Team Indigenous, after punting the ball away, quickly going to get their offense back out there. Let's see how they ultimately respond. Again, throughout most of the first quarter, they weren't really able to get too much going other than their last drive in the first quarter, where they started to really chunk that ball. That one kicked almost right into the chest of an Indigenous teamed player, able to bring that one down, but Team Quebec quickly jumps on top of it, swarms it. Let's see how this one goes. All right, so Team Indigenous back there on the offensive side of the ball. Again, they've been most effective throughout today's contest when they've been using the quick play or quick throw. Shambo with it, looks back, ends up dropping the ball, able to jump right back on top of it and covers that one off. And was looking to throw the ball deep. I believe she was trying to find Cardinal. Just ends up dropping that one.
We haven't seen Deschambault make that many, errors on plays and stuff. Just did not grip it right after getting the snap, and it just came loose. And fortunately for the quarterback, she was able to jump on it again. She now lines up for another snap, takes that one, firing it downfield, missing her intended target. Faith Deschambault once again falls incomplete. Will bring up 3rd and long for National Indigenous.
Had Faith Deschambault, but also had Cardinal also there on the play. Pretty much the 2 trusted receivers for this Team Indigenous offense. That one just sails a little bit up and over, but for Team Indigenous right here at the moment, they know they need to keep their offense out there, so they are going for it. Shotgun, fake snap, throws this one just up and over. Cardinal had all sorts of open space. That would have been a first down and likely more. So Team Quebec gets the ball back on offense after the turnover.
Turnover on downs will give Quebec good field position, starting just inside the National Indigenous 40-yard line. Of course, this time I'd like to thank some of our amazing sponsors, Tourism Calgary and the Government of Alberta, for their support in this year's U18 Women's Championship. Some of our fine, fantastic sponsors that we have here this year. As Dalal waiting for the snap, getting the ball, handing it off to number 2, Alexandre Bélanger. Bélanger takes that one towards the far side. Brought down near the line of scrimmage, maybe has a yard on the running play.
Yeah, again, not much really on that particular play. Both teams, for moments, it feels like they've been struggling to really run the ball at times, but yeah, Team Indigenous able to cover that run off nicely, only able to gain a yard. And again, if you can't get momentum going on offense, sometimes you need to do it on defense. Haven't seen an interception thus far here in today's contest or throughout the tournament. Again, this is game number 1, so potentially still could see it.
Miscue in the backfield, ends up being a passing play, as that's Frédéric Goyette, whose pass falling incomplete. Her intended target, Aimé Ara. We'll bring up 3rd and 9 for Team Quebec.
Yeah, just not able to quite get that one. Maybe a little bit of a rushed throw, as that one was a little bit behind. So Team Quebec punting the ball away after a quick 2 and out.
Ball bouncing downfield on the punting plate. Will roll out of bounds about the 17-yard line. And it'll be a turnover on down. Turnover and first down for National Indigenous. Trying to get some life into this game.
So in their last series for National Team Indigenous, having a couple of really good-looking pass plays, just not quite able to connect on a few of them, go right back to it. Your quarterback left the field with a little bit, almost looking like a little bit of disconfidence in herself. Immediately say, we're going to go right back to the pass, try to build you some of these passing plays back up so you can get that confidence back and see how it ultimately goes.
Of course, a lot of these National Indigenous players playing for the Fort McKay Northern Spirits, back in their league play. Amongst a few other teams that are represented here this weekend. Deschambault's screen pass. No one knew who the intended target was. The ball falls incomplete.
Yeah, the closest player there was her sister, Faith Deschambault. Just trying to ultimately get that one. Again, continue to go back to that passing game. Just try to continue to build that confidence. This one going right out there. Some pressure coming at her a little bit quicker than she probably would have liked. But Deschambault trying to find her sister on that one. Just couldn't quite connect on it.
So Deschambault going for the RB screen on the near side. Quebec into the backfield. The ball pops loose. But the officials had blown the whistle, calling the running back Helena McKay down on the play.
Yeah, again, just trying to get that quick passing offense there. Deschambault, okay. After that pass was tossed, this one's down. Knee was down on the play, so that one slows everyone up indeed. Couture was the one who ended up recovering that one. It's looking like she was going to try to scoop it and score it, but quickly the officials blew that one down and said, nope, let's settle this one right here.
No, definitely the right call from the referees. Doing a fantastic job so far here this afternoon. Ball snapped on the 3rd down play for National Indigenous, punting it away, fielding it back is number 80, Veo. She takes that one forward. A big tackle there at the end of the play. I believe that was Justice Barons again in on the tackle for National Indigenous, and what a hit that was.
Yeah, Justice Barons, if you can have an MVP for the defense for National Indigenous, she would 100% be there. She has been there on every single play. During halftime, I was in the booth with the French broadcasting team, and we could just not stop raving about how well Barron's been playing today. She has been all over the field and has definitely been a bright spot.
Well, I do have Player of the Game awards being handed out after the game, so be sure to stay tuned for those. See if Barron's ends up getting the defensive player MVP for Team National Indigenous. It's a very strong favorite so far. But for now, we focus on Team Quebec and their offense. Goyette taking the snap, dropping back, quick little pass. Some penalty flags down as Meloche is the receiver on the play. We do have a National Indigenous player down. Turn here for National Indigenous player.
Yeah, that is, you never want to see anyone go down on any particular play, but if you are National Indigenous, that is the last player that you want to see down on the defensive side of the ball. Hopefully she is going to be A-okay as she took her helmet off. Maybe had an awkward bounce off the turf. Don't want to watch the replay, but as I did see the replay last second there, it's kind of had that little bit of an awkward play, but it does appear that she's able to walk off under her own power, which is exactly what you want to see in these sort of situations. Do see the replay there. Justice Barron's going in, tried to make that low tackle, and yeah, it just looked at the very end of that play where you just had that one kind of bounce off the turf a little bit. But Team Quebec continuing with the ball here. Just a little over a minute remaining here in this third quarter as we had an offside play on that last one. Goyette under center for Team Quebec. She gets the ball, looks back, tosses that one, ends up finding her teammate, and that one's in for the score. Malouche able to pick that one up and continue to extend this lead for Team Quebec. Kind of a perfect looking play right there. Again, talked about a little bit earlier in this game. Playing under center allows you to do so many different things, whether it's turning around and handing the ball off or turning around and quickly making a pass, exactly what we saw there. But Team Quebec continuing to extend their lead, continuing to have themselves quite the afternoon, as that is a high snap. Team Quebec able to pick this one up and just trying to make something out of nothing. Running this one around, a bunch of space. Can she get there? She's going to find a little bit of room, and Allard scores. A broken play turns into a few more points. And Team Quebec able to continue to extend that lead, but we do have National Team Indigenous player down on the field. So there's been a handful of injuries throughout this game. Again, you never love to see it, but Allard just doing a great job at finding a little bit of space, a little bit of a crease, and just able to get there. Again, the kicker with the ball sailing not just only over her holder's head, but her head as well, is able to find the ball, pick it up, and avoid a couple of tacklers, just go out there and ends up scoring it. But yeah, thank you all very much for hanging out with us here on YouTube for this 2025 Nationals here in Calgary, Alberta, as we continue to get this game underway, as there's been a handful of really good looking plays so far in this one. So there was indeed a penalty on that one. That's going to be applied after the kickoff here. Again, currently our score is 43-0. 63 seconds still remaining here in this third quarter, as we're still working on one of the injured players down on the field. It does appear that she is able to walk off under her own power, and that is exactly what you hope for.
I'm back.
Cole running around doing all
yeah.
sorts of stuff today. Luckily, both of us play-by-play people, so at any given moment.
Lots to do, especially on day one of the tournament.
Yes, indeed. So we are going to redo the kickoff. So that excellent play from Allard, fortunately not going to count, so ended up running around for nothing as this one goes up, ends up bouncing off of the crossbar. And they are going to say that one is
No good.
no good.
Well then.
As a Chicago Bears fan myself, seeing a football bounce off an upright, it's always incredibly painful. So,
The good old doink play.
nope, don't want to talk about it. Nope.
Of course, yeah, penalty yards will be applied on the kickoff for that last penalty play.
Actually, that was probably one of the better kicks we've actually seen throughout competition throughout today. That one just goes up and out. Probably likely would have been good if it was straight and true. Likely from around the 25-yard line.
Take this time to start up more of our sponsors. We'd like to recognize the hard-working contributions of all the volunteers here at Shoal Athletic Park, and most importantly our tournament committee, as well as all the volunteers from all the provinces participating, providing a fantastic opportunity to all of the athletes playing here at the 2025 U18 Women's Championship this year.
And what a way that we have been able to kick off the 2025 U18 Women's Championship. Team Quebec, again, trying to get here earlier on Friday, ended up not being able to get to their hotel until around 3 a.m. Let's see what Team Indigenous is able to go around and just ends up taking that one out of bounds. Orangean was the recipient on that particular occasion. Going to be likely the last play of the quarter once we end up getting it off. But Team Indigenous really just trying to find a way to gain a little bit of momentum here at the moment, trying to find a way to get into the back of the end zone, because all you need is one score to just build some confidence and build some momentum. It's quite the mountain to climb to try to come back and win this game, but you never know. But DeChambeau back with it, looks to toss this one, tries to find Cardinal and just a little bit ahead of her. Can't quite connect on that pass. Pardon me, that was actually Faith DeChambeau trying to find her sister on this particular occasion. Again, just trying to ultimately get those passes to connect. Again, talking with some of the coaching staff prior to the game for DeChambeau, have a lot of confidence in that young lady on every single play. DeChambeau back in the shotgun, scans the field, looks to try to take that shot. Tries to find Cardinal, but she had all sorts of defenders wrapped around her at that moment. That's going to do it here for the third quarter, so we're going to switch sides for our fourth, but Shambo initially looked like she was going to take the shot. Cardinal wrapped up by two players pretty much ever since that first quarter. Team Quebec has done a really good job at slowing down Cardinal and not really allowing her to have too many openings in this game. They've made the quick adjustment. It's one of the things the coaching staff from Team Quebec was telling me, is said, we watch a lot of film and we try to make sure that our girls have the highest football IQ that they can possibly have. And they see things that happen quite often. They make adjustments. They try to follow it. And so far, ever since Cardinal really started to break out a little bit earlier in that first half, they've really slowed her down.
Well, that shows some defensiveness and great coaching, especially to be able to shut down players like Cardinal. And the Team National Indigenous offense, and there's a tossing play. Brought down in the backfield by the Quebec defense. It's Chloe McKay on the carry. Nowhere to go.
Yeah, again, at this point, for Team National Indigenous, all you can really do is just try to get anything going at this point. Toss play on that particular occasion, just hoping to try to catch the defense a little bit sleeping on that one. But yeah, Team Quebec doing a great job of just jumping in there and stuffing that one. physicality has been really the name of the game in this one, and Team Quebec has had the advantage.
Of course, I'd like to thank our football sponsors, Football Canada, Football Alberta, the Calgary Band Football Association, the South Alberta Female Football League, the Calgary Stampeders, and NFL Canada. As we get set for another drive for Team Quebec. Receiving the snap and hanging it off. Number 17, Doege, taking that one up the far sideline. Sorry, Odege. She steps to bounds around the 20, we'll call it the 22, picking up another first down, trying to add on to Quebec's lead.
Yeah, she's been able to find some crease, and when she gets a little bit of a hole, she can turn on those afterburners and really start to go, and they were able to just kind of push her towards the sidelines and say, you know what, we're more than happy to just have you run out of bounds instead of we having to tackle us, or tackle you.
She might be able to turn up and continue going, but just ran a little bit out of real estate, but yeah, like you've mentioned time and time again, like the Quebec team is just so much faster. That's why they're having all the success so far, as that passing play falling incomplete. Chidwai was the intended target. Ends up bouncing off of her hands and down to the turf.
A little bit in and out of the mitts on that particular play, but Team Quebec, second down here. Just continuing to try to get things moving. Again, they don't need to rush. They don't need to try to add insult to injury at this point. It's basically just go out there and play the way that you play your offense, and if the opposing team stops it, well, so be it, they stop it.
Quarterback having some issues in the backfield. Let's go, yes. She does scoop up the ball and continue to running up the near hash marks. Finally brought down as Barron's back on the field for National Indigenous, making the tackle. Broken play turned into positive yards for Team Quebec.
And you know what? That's one of the other things that we've seen from Team Quebec in this game is just because they have a broken play that starts with, and again, we see two sort of situations where you could call it a broken play where the snap wasn't as good as it possibly could have been. Quarterback fumbles it around a little bit, but that's one thing that we've seen from Team Quebec. When mistakes happen on their own end, they're able to adjust and make something out of it.
Well, that's what you want to try to fix before going into your other games and stuff too, trying to get into the finals. Of course, Quebec will play, as it stands, they will play either Alberta or Ontario tomorrow night, depending on how games, or our third game today goes. So run up the field for number 22. Oshane Ala. She has enough for a first down.
And another situation where the kicker having to make a little bit of adjustments as this one just goes right up and over.
I mean, it worked.
Yeah, she had the hands out there and was able to jump up and get her team that little bit of extra yardage for a first down, and so the offense stays out there.
A little bit of a tip drill, and instead of going for a field goal, you're inside the red zone, down inside the 10, going for a potential touchdown here. Let's get back, lines up for first and goal from the 9. Dalal lining up for the kick, or not for the kick, for the snap. Back in at quarterback for Team Quebec. She takes that snap, bobs out towards the left side. Her pass is completed. Finding Therese Veo.
Chanel McClure on the defensive side of the ball was getting mightily close on that blind side for potentially getting a sack, but luckily for Team Quebec, they were just able to get that ball off last moment. As we see on the replay, just perfect get off and just trying to track her down, almost got the football.
So Quebec will have it from the National Indigenous 6-yard line. Second and goal. So back in the shotgun. Takes the snap. Scrambling. Avoids one tackle. Breaks off a second. Finally brought down on the third. Some Malu Grand Jam on the tackle. But a yard or two gained for Team Quebec. That's going to set up third and goal. What do you do here, Brennan?
You know, if you were Team Quebec continuing to try to almost do that little bit of a tush-push type of play, bring out that heavy personnel, but if the game was closer, that would be what I would do in this particular situation. But at this point, with the score being what it is, bring out the field goal unit. Ultimately, try to get that snap situation sorted out on that field goal unit, because we've seen the last 3 opportunities where it's been a little bit discombobulated.
Back to kick for Quebec. Ball is down, ball is up, and it is good. Field goal for Team Quebec off the foot of Oceania Aral will increase the Quebec lead by 3 more points here in quarter number 4.
Well, I'd probably finally happy she was able to actually get the kickoff on this particular occasion, because the last 3 she's been having to either find the football and run with it or just catch the football and run with it. So good little opportunity there. So back to the kickoff formation.
A little bit of a confidence builder.
Yeah, without a doubt. And again, you, after seeing some of those missed snaps on those previous kickoff attempts, it's good to get everyone out there and try to get everything situated and just everyone calm down.
And Team Indigenous will actually take possession of the ball at their own 35. So hit the 6-minute mark in the 4th quarter. Quarterback under center, 1 running back in the backfield. Kind of an I formation with the receiver out way on the far side of the field. Ball snapped, handoff. And the running back, or the receiver, on the fly sweep brought down in a hurry by that Quebec defense. And it looks like no gain on the play, maybe a loss of half a yard.
Yeah, this Team Quebec defensive line has just been able to break through at every possible opportunity. And it's not just one player going in there and making the tackle. It's one player slowing her opponent down and then allowing the other teammates to also get in there to also bring those wraps around and just bring everyone down nice and cleanly. And it's kind of picture-perfect defense for what you want to see from your defensive line.
And Deschambault lining up for another snap. Takes it. Going for that RB screen. Falls incomplete and a delayed whistle from the officials. Kind of letting it play out a little bit and finally ruled incomplete.
Yeah, a little bit of a tough pass on there. Just trying to ultimately get some of those passes a little bit more connected. Just going out there again on the RB screen, looking for it. That fake toss, that pass over, just couldn't quite connect. And that's been kind of the tail of the tape here for National Indigenous squad here today on the offensive side.
Actually lining up for another punting play. Try to get some better field position. And Barron scrambling out of the backfield, brought down. It's going to be a turnover on downs and good field position for Quebec here in the late stages of the 4th quarter.
Yeah, not one of those plays that I think was designed to be a run. Just punt team got a little bit running out of real estate and just kind of tried to make something out of nothing. Team Quebec going back onto the offensive side of the ball, and where they have basically been able to do pretty much everything at will throughout this contest.
Of course, I'd like to thank some of our more of our sponsors: Hilberg and Burke, Oculus Private Wealth Foundation, or Oculus Private Wealth, Lynn Fletcher Weddings, Sleek Signs, Tourism Calgary, the City of Calgary, Make It If Sports Foundation, and the Government of Alberta. As Quebec lining up for another snap, back in at quarterback is Anne-Frédéric Goyette, taking that snap, handing it off. Running back number 2, Bélanger, charging forward and finally brought down by Team National Indigenous after about 5, maybe 6 yards.
Yeah, again, that's one of those just chunk runs that you need on first down, because even when you are running your offense and you've been very effective, still trying to do the things right on first down. Again, this leads back into when you play your next game going throughout this tournament. Again, building these small habits even late in this contest.
Line up for 2nd down play for Team Quebec. Go ahead, taking the snap, tossing it off. Bélanger now with it toward the near side. Getting some help from some blockers, and she finds a hole and the end zone. And it's another touchdown for Team Quebec.
Yeah, again, you never necessarily want to say that this is rubbing salt into the wound, but it's one of those things where you're going to go out there and you're still going to try to run your offense. When you're leading like this, you're not necessarily just going to go out there and try to take a knee on every single play. And a nice toss play and even better run, just Again, having to break one tackle right there, having to break another hand tackle, and then a third hand tackle, ultimately finding a way to sneak into the back of the end zone. Again, Team Quebec, Cole, you could arguably say they've played a picture-perfect game here today.
There has been some blemishes and stuff, but yeah, it's been pretty flawless throughout, and definitely some momentum that can be taken away throughout the rest of the tournament for Team Quebec. It's definitely a great start for them. Team Indigenous, some work needs to be done, clean some things up, and still plenty of tournament to go, so don't hang your heads too low, because you never know how the next game might go.
Go home tonight, rewatch the film, and try to see things that did work for you, see the things that clearly didn't work for you, and try to make those adjustments ultimately for Wednesday when you play your next contest.
It's a pretty busy week for these teams here out of the tournament too. They had the Stampede breakfast yesterday. I know that they're going to be going to the Stampeders game on Thursday night, so plenty of action. I think they're actually at Callaway Park later this week as well. So lots going on, as well as football action, just giving them the sights in and around Calgary. So good kickoff from Team Quebec, right into the hands of Barons off the one hop. She takes that one towards the near side, a big hit there from Team Quebec, Oceania. And Team National Indigenous will start from their own 37.
Again, for National Indigenous, just try to find some of these small things to build momentum on going throughout the remaining portion of this week. That's really all you can ask here at the moment. If you can find a way to get into the back of the end zone, that's even better. That makes your night even that much better, if you can make it better. But just trying to find some of the things that ultimately work, even if they're just small.
Ball is snapped, and National Indigenous will move that one forward. Short gain. Instantly bottled up by that Quebec defense. That run up the middle is non-existent. And it's Tegan Stewart on the carry that time for National Indigenous.
Again, trying that rush up the middle here at this point. Again, the run game was a little bit abandoned throughout the third quarter for National Indigenous as they were trying to get some of those passing yards back in this one. Passing game didn't quite go, so at this point, again, just trying everything and just trying to build off of it.
Got to find a play that works and just rep it, but struggling on those inside run plays as that's a passing now intercepted. And Camille Forrest with the INT, reading that one beautifully, just managing to hold on inside the final minute. And that will, I think, pretty much seal it for this game.
Yeah, this game, again, has just been beautifully done by Team Quebec. Again, on the defense side of the ball, they talked about wanting to go out there and be a fast-moving defense that attacks the football, and we've seen that a couple times, and we finally get to see that interception that ultimately felt like it could have come a lot earlier in this game, but Team Quebec just doing a great job and still going out there from the shotgun formation. Toss play just goes incomplete, and that is going to likely do it here for this one, folks, as
should have one more play.
We do indeed have at least one more.
Just take a knee, honestly, at this point. Just take the knee. End the game. You don't need to add on any more points. There's no point differential for moving on.
There's no celebration for any extra yards in this one, so, yep.
And there's the knee from the quarterback, number 18, Elaine Dalal. And Team Quebec winning our opening match 54-0 over Team National Indigenous. Of course, we do have player of the game stuff coming up in a short time here. So don't turn off your broadcast yet. We want to see who those players of the game are.
Yeah, all in all, a very consistent game from top to bottom for Team Quebec, just going out there and making plays. Again, was it perfect? No, not necessarily, but you still go out there and from the coaching staff, a lot of things that you like, a lot of things that you love, and really just a very solid game from top to bottom. And for Team Indigenous, there's things that are definitely you're going to take from this one. Look at the film, go, okay, this didn't work. the quick passing game is something that I think they can continue to do, those quick, short passes, and just hoping to try to make some of those explosive plays out of that. Got to try to find a way to get some of those runs up the middle a little bit more open. But again, Team Quebec, that defensive line, pretty much both sides of the line, just did a great job all day long.
So we can confirm that Team National Indigenous will be playing in Game 1 at the same time on Wednesday against the loser of either Saskatchewan or Manitoba, which is our upcoming game. If you want to watch that on Football Canada's YouTube page, I highly recommend that one. As for Team Quebec, they will be playing either Ontario or Alberta, but you will not know where and when. Well, we know where, we don't know when, until the conclusion of that game, because regardless of what happens, Alberta will be playing at 7 o'clock on Wednesday. Ontario will be playing at 1, so if Ontario wins, then you're going to get one result. If Alberta wins, you're going to get another. So as of right now, it's to be determined on when Quebec will be playing Wednesday afternoon.
But make sure to stay tuned online for all of the latest updates, so that when the schedule does come out, luckily we do have a couple days in between, so you'll be able to be notified, and once we get going back again on Wednesday, be able to know exactly what's going to happen. But this is likely going to be a very, very fun remaining bit of the tournament. Again, Manitoba and Saskatchewan up next, which is also likely going to be a really, really good looking matchup. And we should be seeing our players of the game announced here relatively shortly.
Just had to go and run and find our who's getting our MVP awards. So give it to the PA guy, but not us here in the English broadcast booth. So I'll wait for the official confirmation over the PA system. No spoilers yet. Any guesses, Brennan?
I have a few guesses, but I'm more than happy to wait and find out from everyone else.
Of course, presenting here to help present our awards, which have been selected by the 2025 Women's Selection Committee. Presenting is Brian Branford, the president of Football Alberta.
Continuing to run around and fix some small technical difficulties as we have everything situated and sorted, but should be able to hear everything here momentarily.
Yeah, winner of the player of the game for the offense, MVP for National Indigenous, number 9, Arabella Cardinal.
Again, she
just beat the PA to it.
A very, very solid player throughout today's game, making some good catches. Did have that one drop throughout the game, but other than that, again, Team Quebec's, their defense, they really had to focus in on her and kind of slow her down.
Our defensive MVP, also from National Indigenous, number 22, Justice Behrens.
Yeah, that one is a absolutely no-brainer. She was probably the defensive player of the game here just in general for both squads. She was all over the field making tackles and was kind of a problem for Team Quebec in a lot of the running plays and those short passes. All in all, just a phenomenal game for her.
Now for Team Quebec, our offensive player of the game, number 8, McKay Hui.
And had an excellent run. Couple of runs throughout this game, was just really showing the afterburners once she broke through a little bit of space. Just a phenomenal player and a phenomenal game so far here today.
Shane did delay it a little bit. We're beating the PA just by a tad. Nice fancy graphics they got going on too.
They do, yeah. It's been really impressive watching the replay booths and seeing all the great shots that we've been able to get here today.
I'm not used to that.
Yeah, neither am I.
A player of the game for the defense for Team Quebec, number 12, Nora Rondeau.
Yeah, and another really good game from her. Had a handful of really good plays on the offensive side of the ball as well. Again, that punt return was obviously the big highlight from her throughout this game. But what a way to open up the 2025 U18 Women's Nationals, where Team Quebec wins fairly dominating fashion. Thank you all very much for watching.
Of course, stay tuned. Up next, we have Saskatchewan and Manitoba. I was Cole Ford alongside me, Brennan Donald. And we hope you have a fantastic rest of your weekend, and tournaments. For those of you who are able to watch back at home or making their way down to Calgary to watch the 2025 Women's Nationals.
Test 1 2.